Welcome back. You're still tuned in live to Newday here on TV3. And, of course, June 3, 2015 will go down the books as one of the worst days in Ghanaian history. I don't have to say too much about that. As a result of the double disaster that left hundreds of lives lost and even more displaced. Now, TV3 has put together a fund in aid of the victims of this devastation. This morning, I have with me Ezenator Rawlings. She is the ambassador of the TV3 Fund, and she joins us to shed more light on the appeal for funds that we have been doing here at TV3. Good morning, Ezenator. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Right. Let me start by asking you where you were on the night of June 3.
I was actually at home, and it was quite unfortunate because I could not sleep that whole night because the rain was heavier than I'd heard it in a very long time. And plus, I had a leaking roof, so...
Right. Did you kind of know, even whilst you were at home, the extent of the rain or the damage that it would do? Or you just thought it was just another rainfall?
Not quite, because I was actually in touch with a couple of people who were trying to get home, and most people did not manage to get home before midnight, even though they left the Accra area maybe around 8. Okay. So I realized that this was a little bit more than we'd had in recent
When did
times.
you hear of the news of the disaster?
The pictures I got started coming in the following morning, and it was so horrific. At some point, I wondered whether some of it was a hoax. It was that bad. I'd just never seen that kind of situation in Accra after the floods, and it was just terrible.
How did you feel?
The loss of one life, the loss of many lives, it's life, and it was just tragic to see, human beings just burned beyond recognition, and some people who had drowned in the running waters and the gutters, and it was terrible. It was heart-wrenching, actually.
Is that what made you decide to join this campaign?
It was one of the things that touched me. I suppose the main thing was the realization that to a large extent, it may have been preventable, and recognizing some of the factors that probably contributed to it made it all the more urgent and important for us to actually address it.
When you say preventable, what do you mean? What are some of the things that we could have done or we can do now to prevent such an occurrence in the future?
Yeah, I think since it has happened and lives are lost, I guess we just move forward in terms of what we can do to hopefully avoid this kind of situation happening again. I think one of the key things that I keep harping on is maintenance. And, I don't know whether we have a full official report on the circumstances that led to the explosion, but I think it would be very good for us to have a public forum where we actually hear about exactly what happened and what has been put in place to hopefully prevent any such thing happening again. But in terms of the flooding, I think the main issue that we have has been the inappropriate disposal of refuse and the building and waterways, because the rains come. We expect the heavy rains to come at some point every year.
Every year we talk about it.
And every year we know where it's going to happen, and this year a lot more attention has been brought to the number of lives lost because of the disaster that happened at the service station. But every year people do die as a result of the flooding. And it's a shame that it took something this dramatic to actually call our attention to it and to do something about it. But definitely I think some of the obvious things are the building and waterways and the inappropriate disposal of refuse by people and by some of the disposal companies as well.
Speaking about building in waterways and littering and all of that, how do you feel about the recent or just yesterday's demolition of Sodom and Gomorrah? Do you think it's a step in the right direction?
I think yes, it is a step in the right direction. As to how it was managed, that is not quite mine to say at this point in time. But I think that we shouldn't wait for people to settle into a place and create a community before we start reacting by getting rid of the people living there. We need to just be proactive and preemptive in terms of these kinds of things. We know where people are not meant to build houses, so why are we not stopping it from happening? And once people settle down in a place, it's difficult to ask them to leave. Because now it's become their home, more or less.
Exactly, and then you're adding to the problems by making people displaced and leaving people homeless and all of that.
Yeah, I think, yes, that's true. And yet at the same time, this is Ghana, so even when people get displaced, we all have a place that we actually call our roots. So
they have somewhere to go.
I think worst case scenario, everybody does have a place that they can call their home. We all have our village, as we say. But it was quite dramatic, and I think that perhaps going forward, what we need to do is enforce the laws so that we're not having to do what we're doing now.
Okay, let's talk about the fund. Now, there have been a number of appeals, a lot of individuals, companies, a lot of people appealing for funds to help some of these victims. But how different is this one that TV3 is embarking upon that you are head of?
I think a few of the things that make it a little bit unique is our visibility on the ground. We are actually making sure that we're constantly staying in touch with NADMO and assessing the situation on the ground so that we know exactly where things are worse and where we can actually deliver the goods to. And the other thing as well is we are making sure that people get receipts for all the donations that they make, and we are making sure that their donations are actually acknowledged, and when people receive them, we make sure they know where the donations are coming from.
Everything is acknowledged.
Yes.
Okay, now you mentioned goods, so it's not just about money. It can be in kind as well. What kind of goods have you gotten so far, and what kind of goods are you expecting?
I think so far we've had lots of mattresses, we've had clothing, food items, water. The water is a tricky one because we're using plastics. So we're having to, on top of distributing the water.
Do about that,
no, it's we have to. People need clean water. So while we're giving out the water, we're also reminding people to dispose of the plastics very mindfully, because we're trying to avoid a situation, and in dealing with one, we shouldn't end up creating another one that's obviously going to be a problem. We've had donation of mosquito nets and mosquito coils. We've had soap and toilet paper. And we would really like to have some more. There have been food items as well, rice and cooking oil, but we definitely could do with a lot more material on the ground.
Right. Is there anything you haven't received that you need?
We need more mosquito coils.
Mosquito coils.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and netting.
Okay, so you're working with NADMO in giving of these food items or these relief materials.
Yes.
How sure are you that these items are getting to the right people? That's been a major concern for a lot of people, that a lot of times when they make donations, they don't reach the people that they intend for them to go to. How sure are you, or how can you convince the general public that the items that they are donating will go to the right hands?
Well, so far what we've done is with every community that we've actually made the donations to, we've compiled a list of members of the households, and they've come in. So we give the items according to the household as opposed to according to the individual, and we're actually there, on the ground. So we have crew on the ground that actually gives out the items. So we don't just go leave the items and disappear. We stay. The items are given out, and then we leave.
Okay. How can people donate?
We have the means of donation. You can actually come over to TV3. Cash donations are also very welcome. You can give those, and then we have the short codes as well as the accounts, which people can donate to. I don't know if you have them on the screen at the moment.
We will give them out in just a few moments.
Yeah.
Or if they want to donate items, can they drop them off at TV3?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
cash and kind.
Okay.
We've received a lot of items. A lot of people have donated a lot of things. We even had a gentleman here who heard about the cleanup that was going on in Adabarka, Sahara, and he just came this way on a Saturday afternoon. The gentleman, we got back from the cleanup, and he was waiting in the reception, and he said he just heard about it and he wanted to make a donation, and he waited and he did. So, there's a lot of goodwill, and I think when people know that you're doing something and you're not you're not taking the money, or you're not keeping the donation, and you're actually giving it to the people that matter. It creates that that level of credibility for yourself, and people are more willing to give because they know it's going to the right people.
So how's the response been so far? I know that our target is 10 million CDs within 3 months. How are we doing so far?
It's ambitious, but we're getting there. We've had such a good response, and the corporate institutions are also making their commitments. So I think that we should be able to give some kind of ballpark figure within the next 2 weeks. I think it might be a bit premature to mention how much we've. We've
probably we might even exceed the target.
That's what I'm hoping, because it is possible.
Right.
It is possible, yes.
Okay. So, of course, it's good that people are donating and that we are helping these victims, but most importantly, we need to educate the masses so that this doesn't happen again. How are you doing with that?
Well, when you say the masses, sometimes I just wonder, though, because, you actually attend meetings where you have people who you think would know better, and they're littering too. So maybe we all just
give
need
us an example. You said you attend meetings. What kind of things happen?
People are served water in plastic bottles, or they're served food in napkins, and the meeting is over and you look on the floor and there are tissues all over the floor and there are bottles all over the floor. It wouldn't hurt to actually...
In the room?
It wouldn't actually hurt to pick up the tissue, pick up the bottle and dispose it off. Yes, people employed to clean up, but clean up after yourself. If we all did that, we wouldn't have such a big problem on our hands.
So we all need the education, not just the masses.
I think we all do. And the other thing as well is the fund is not just going to provide immediate relief. We have a medium and a long-term goal in terms of this, and as part of the medium and long-term goals are providing an educational fund for the children of the children who lost parents or guardians in this incident, and as well as important as you mentioned it, education. So we have part of that's going towards advocacy in terms of environmental issues.
Okay, finally, Ezenator, before you go, this is just a bit off the side, but I'd just like to get your opinion on, we've heard recently the Ghana Traditional Council saying what they think is the reason why we had this disaster. I'm sure you've heard or read about it. Do you have any thoughts at all?
Well,
feel free not to have an opinion.
Well, I think we all make our contributions in the areas that we know best, and well, who am I to make a comment on that? I think that I'm doing the best I can to help it in the way that I know how, and we should all do the best that we can. But I don't think that I'm in a position to make a comment about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. We really do appreciate the good job that you're doing for the fund, and we hope that we're able to meet or even go past the target that we've set for 10 million Ghana cedis within 3 months for the TV3 June 3 Disaster Support Fund. And as you can see, the numbers or the account numbers to donate to have been on the screens throughout this interview. So feel free to donate to any of these funds, any of these accounts. It's on the screens at the moment. Or if you'd like to donate in person, you can go to any of the TV3 offices in Accra. You know where to find us at Desawe. If you're in Kumasi or the Ashanti region or the northern sector, you can go to the TV3 offices located opposite the STC yard in Kumasi. Thank you so much once again for your time, Ezenator.